Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, the 9th of September. It's just past 5 p.m. After yesterday's video, we didn't think we'd have something new to provide to you so quickly, but this news just came through the media. We wanted to let you know straight away because it is great news and will hopefully make a lot of you very happy. As always, this is not legal advice. This is just us informing you of what's going on with immigration in New Zealand. If you're looking for legal advice, get in touch with us directly and we'll be able to see if we can help you out. Now, there's three areas to the news. We're going to go through them one at a time. Hang in there, listen to all three areas in case the later areas affect you. First thing is residence. Now, those who gain residence visas while they are offshore have 1 year to use it to enter the country. Unfortunately, those who gain residence visas and hadn't used them when the border closed were not able to enter. There was a requirement that you had to have used the residence visa at least once to come across the border as a resident. Now today, Kris Faafoi, who's the Minister of Immigration, announced that those who had travel conditions, which is that 1 year to enter the country, that have expired or will expire on or after 2 February 2020, so the start of this year before we lock down, will be issued a new visa which is also valid for that 12 months. This affects about 5,500 people who got that residence visa and weren't able to use it. Now the quote from Mr. Faafoi is that the government recognises that these individuals have recently met the requirements to be granted residence. If not for border closures forced by the COVID-19 pandemic, they'll be living in New Zealand and contributing to our team of 5 million. I think it's a great quote. It's a great thing to hear from the government, from the Minister of Immigration, from the government. So they won't be able to travel, then having this new visa won't allow you to travel to New Zealand unless they have an exemption. This is not a right for them to cross the border, not just yet. It does mean though, when the border does open, they can enter with that visa, no requirements for any extra paperwork. They'll have that new visa, come across the border and they come. So it's not an automatic coming in now, but it is that in the next 12 months when the border opens, hopefully in a few months' time, people will come across at that point. Now, the next thing is work visa holders. This is probably the biggest one for a lot of you. Now, these are people who have retained their jobs in New Zealand. So if you have a work visa to be in New Zealand and you're currently stuck overseas, I know there are a number of people out there who are in that situation. The government is setting up a new exemption policy, which is being announced, allowing re-entry pretty much as soon as possible. We're still waiting for the exact wording, but this is in line with yesterday's video. We're not sure whether it's going to be industry by industry or whether it's just going to be a mass allowance. We'll come to in a second as to the numbers issue. We'll let you know when we have that exact information, but at least it's been announced officially from the Minister today. Now, he quoted on this, many of these visa holders and their families have lived in New Zealand for years and have built lives here, with the hope and expectation that they'll be able to stay longer term in New Zealand. It is only fair to let these visa holders return, given their long-standing and ongoing connections to this country. Again, another great quote from the Minister of Immigration, and I'm really glad he said it. We've been saying it for a long time. Now, it isn't clear yet if this will include partners of people who are already in New Zealand. So I know a number of you have partners in New Zealand, or you're in New Zealand, you want to be your partner across from another country. He did mention that this allowance for work visa holders who are overseas will also allow them to bring their partner and their dependents back in New Zealand with them on the basis that they, of course, have a visa already. So it'd be interesting to see whether this is extended to those who are already in New Zealand to bring their partners who may be overseas. We're hoping it does. We know a lot of our clients are in that situation. We will let you know when this is clarified. I expect to be clarified when we have those official wording through from Immigration New Zealand. And we'll be able to see whether this is an allowance. If it isn't, we'll be raising it with immigration as to why it isn't an allowance, why it is only being left to those who are already offshore and bring their partners in, and not for those who are already here and still working for this to help build this country. So we'll ask that question if it isn't included. If it is included, then that would be great. We'll let you know. Now, finally, a smaller point is that Australian partners and New Zealanders, as well as actually any partner from the 61 visa waiver countries, may be granted an exemption to travel to be in New Zealand with their partner. So if your partner is a New Zealand citizen, you're a New Zealand citizen, possibly resident, again, the wording, we haven't seen the exact wording yet, and your partner is from one of those visa waiver countries, currently they can't come in without you. It is a bit of a hard one to sort out, that an exemption to travel may be granted. It's not a definite, but they are opening it up. Currently there is very strict requirements practically comes down to the job that person who comes into the country is doing, or humanitarian. This will open up a bit wider. Now, these changes don't mean that everyone can come at once. As I said a number of times before, we have limited capacity in quarantine in New Zealand. Currently, about 7,000 people at a time can be in quarantine, which is about 3,500 people a week can come through because it's a 2-week process. And that includes all the New Zealand citizens and residents that are coming back, and they are taking up most of the space at the moment. So it doesn't mean a free-for-all, everyone coming in at once, but it does mean that for all of you out there waiting to come back into New Zealand, to your jobs, and with your family, that time is almost here. We're now seeing the government moving on this. We'll hopefully have the official wording on how this is going to work, hopefully in the next few hours, if not in the next few days. If in the next few days, I'll be sort of stamping my foot and demanding it from them, because it's important to all of you to know how this is going to work and to make those preparations. So for now, that's all we've got is from the media in New Zealand. This has come directly from the Ministry of Immigration to the media, and then we've seen it on the various sites. We'll let you know when we have the official wording through. I'm going to hold my contacts at immigration, see if we can get that through a bit faster. Until then, stay safe, be happy. Kia kaha, you are almost home. Things are looking brighter. Have a great afternoon.